Aloha mai kako. Today is Monday, September 16, 2019, and we're here at Puʻuhonua or Puʻuhuluhulu. I have a statement to begin. Over the past week, the kiaʻi at Puʻuhonua or Puʻuhuluhulu have remained vigilant in our commitment to protect Mauna Kea in Kapuʻaloha. Adding to the already stressful conditions and amidst rumors of an impending raid, we are now also having to address potential incidents of both public and covert police harassment and agitation. Today, we're bringing forth related evidence of what may be criminal misconduct on the part of a law enforcement officer. Despite this, we continue to remain in Kapuʻaloha, peace and nonviolence.
We believe that Hawaii State law enforcement at Puʻuhuluhulu may be attempting to agitate protectors and incite discord and possibly violence through the use of the following tactics. 1. Sobriety checkpoints using the Special Response Team and possibly state sheriffs along with Department of Transportation barricades on multiple nights, including this past Sunday night on the Daniel K. Inouye Highway. 2. State sheriffs lining trucks along the road above the cattle guard on the Mauna Kea access road, shining their high beams on the kupuna tent at 1 a.m. on Monday, September 9th and Tuesday, September 10th. 3. A Black Hawk helicopter flying low level over the kupuna tent on Tuesday, September 10th. 4. Unnecessary desecration of the Hawaiian flag on September 6th. 5. Governor Ige's press conference on September 12th alleging damage to native plants by kiaʻi, and September 13th alleging cyberbullying. We believe that these tactics employed by law enforcement officers and the highest ranking state officials are deliberate attempts to create conflict among the protectors and exacerbate tensions with law enforcement. These tactics demonstrate that the state is not acting in good faith in addressing the conflict and is instead working against principles of nonviolence and kapuʻaloha in a manner that puts the safety of protectors and the general public at risk. In addition, we have evidence that a law enforcement officer may have purposefully shared disinformation with a protector in an alleged attempt to incite mistrust and discord between specific individuals in the Puʻuhonua. We believe that this incident may qualify as criminal police misconduct. We have two individuals here with us today who are first-hand witnesses who are prepared to share their personal interactions with the officer in question. We will not be sharing the name of the officer in order to protect the safety of the individual.
Aloha, my name is Kahoʻokahi Kanuha. On the morning of August 19th, I engaged in a conversation with a law enforcement officer. This officer expressed to me that they felt that Mikey Glendon, who is here standing next to me, was a problem and, according to them, a liability for all individuals in the Puʻuhonua, and that we should do what is necessary to have this individual removed from the Puʻuhonua.
Aloha mai kako, I'm Mikey Glendon. On September 4th, I was served with a notice to remove our Kanaka Knowledge Learning Center, which I took part in. September 6th, which was 2 days prior, 48 hours, the building was forcefully removed. 2 days following that incident, I was approached by a police officer whom I met in private, and I asked him, why was it such an abrupt situation where they demolished our learning center? His response to me was that they received a phone call from Puʻuhuluhulu that stated I was in the learning center with a gun with children, ready to shoot it out with the police with respects that I'm protecting the children. That is false. 2 days following that conversation, a phone call was made to me by this officer, and he stated that he had some intel that it came from within the Puʻuhuluhulu community. So a follow-up third conversation, the officer stated two names from within our Puʻuhuluhulu community, Noi Noi and Earl, who were alleged people who called in and stated that I was in our Kanaka Knowledge Learning Center with a gun with children.
Aloha mai, I'm Earl De Leon. This is my sweetheart, Noi Noi Kekaulua. I'm here today to state that we would never ever do something as irresponsible as that, to call in and make a false statement that Mr. Glendon here was in a house with children armed with a gun to protect the children at his library at Puʻuhuluhulu. We would never make a false claim to jeopardize the security of our community here at Puʻuhuluhulu. It's irresponsible and unacceptable.
First, for the media, as stated before, we do not support releasing personal information to the public. Therefore, we will not be releasing the officer's name in this press conference. We have one video and 2 audio recordings between Mr. Glendon and the officer in question. These recordings corroborate Mr. Glendon's testimony. We are willing to share these files with law enforcement for investigative purposes. We will also make these files available to the media. We ask that the media use the information responsibly. Second, as conveyed by Mr. Kanuha and Mr. Glendon, a particular special response team officer encouraged Mr. Kanuha to remove Mr. Glendon from the camp for being dangerous and for being a liability, while on the other hand, the same officer provided confidential information to Mr. Glendon designed to provoke Mr. Glendon and put Mr. DeLeon and his partner, Ms. Kekaulua, at risk. The information provided to Mr. Glendon by the officer accusing Mr. DeLeon and Ms. Kekaulua of informing law enforcement about Mr. Glendon barricading himself in the building with a gun and children is one, inconsistent with the manner in which law enforcement responded to the building on the day of the removal. 2, if in fact true, had the potential to put Mr. DeLeon and his partner at risk. And 3, if false, could only be intended to provoke Mr. Glendon to retaliation. A review of law enforcement action on September 6 indicates that the officers did not approach the building as if it were barricaded with a gunman inside. The video coverage shows that 1, the special response team did not take the lead on the operation. 2, the officers lined up with their backs facing the structure as if the threat were from the crowd, not from within the structure. 3, the officers were equipped with riot control gear, including 4-foot-long batons. In no way did law enforcement appear prepared to confront a gunman with children. Although a small perimeter was cleared around the structure, there were a number of people watching nearby as the officers entered and eventually dismantled the structure, who would have been at risk if an armed gunman was indeed present. If information about a purported tip by Mr. DeLeon were true, the officer violated confidentiality by revealing what should have been an anonymous informant, exposing that informant to the very person informed upon. Revealing that kind of information puts informants at risk. We know, however, that neither Mr. DeLeon nor Ms. Kekaulua made such a call. Mr. DeLeon knows that the kind of false information provided would have triggered a law enforcement response that could have placed the entire Puʻuhonua at risk. Mr. DeLeon is here today to stand in solidarity with everyone involved in this incident to refute the police allegations against him. It is clear that the information provided to Mr. Glendon was intended to provoke a confrontation between him and other individuals in the Puʻuhonua, particularly Mr. DeLeon. The officer was aware of and confirmed that Mr. Glendon and Mr. DeLeon had a previous confrontation. We believe that providing that kind of information to Mr. Glendon several days after the removal of the building could only have been intended to incite a confrontation. What we do not know is whether the officer was acting individually or whether his actions were part of a concerted strategy by the Hawaii County Police Department, or whether his actions were part of a larger coordinated interagency law enforcement strategy. If the officer was in fact acting under orders, then the only apparent purpose would have been to provoke an incident that would justify law enforcement action to clear the Puʻuhonua. Taken in conjunction with increased police activity in and around the Puʻuhonua, the officer's conduct leads us to believe that it is possible that the state and county of Hawaii are purposefully engaging in subversive tactics designed to increase tensions, agitate protectors to violence, and challenge our commitment to kapu aloha. We call upon the proper investigative authorities, including the FBI, or other agencies to address and investigate the current law enforcement strategy that appears to be aimed at misrepresenting our peaceful movement, possibly inciting conflict among those in the Puʻuhonua, placing all of us at risk, and leading the public to believe we are lawless and dangerous in order to justify the use of force to remove us. We are prepared to provide all evidence to the proper investigating authorities upon request. We also demand that the officer in question be removed from this police operation immediately, as his actions are irresponsible and place all of us at risk.
To our lahui, these allegations are very serious. We're hopeful that they are the work of a few individuals. However, only a complete and honest investigation will uncover the full scale of this operation. The actions of a few individuals who operate outside the spirit of kapu'aloha do not represent us. Similarly, we do not believe that all law enforcement officers are part of a targeted strategy to undermine our movement. Many officers are ohana, neighbors and friends. Please do not react to this information with anything other than kapu'aloha. These alleged police actions only serve to strengthen our resolve and commitment to kapu'aloha. We will not be provoked. We will not be distracted from our purpose, which continues to be non-violent, peaceful protection of our sacred Mauna Kea. The safety of all of us protectors holding space on the Mauna depends on our collective ability to remain in kapu'aloha. Mahalo nui.